2025 proved once more that people have not yet understood what Bitcoin actually is. Even some OGs, even some long-term Bitcoin hodlers are turning negative. Now, today I want to talk to you about 4 specific things. Number 1, I want to talk about why the market, or where the market actually is, why the market is so down and the sentiment is so bad. Even some OGs, as I just mentioned, some long-term hodlers, some people that I actually listened to in the beginning, especially in my Bitcoin journey like 5-6 years ago, and they are now turning like negative, and the sentiment is bad, and they're bringing up like quantum fiat. It's crazy for me what's happening. Then what the actual data shows, what the actual charts are showing, some new charts that I found I want to show to you guys. Then why I personally think, and we covered that to some regard already yesterday, and I will show you again a few more things today, why we are in a major bull market in 2026. I personally think so. I think we're in for a treat in 2026. Bitcoin, and the 4th thing is why Bitcoin is a major fork in the road of human civilization, why we actually have to come back to the fundamentals, why we actually have to come back what Bitcoin is actually all about. Now, this is really, really cool, and I think we have to come back to what actually makes sense. This is today's episode will really be focused on like why the market is turning one way and we should actually turn the other way. It's a major distraction. I personally think so. And especially newcomers, especially newbies, can be shaken out quite substantially here. Now, let's see. I say hi to everyone in the chat. Let's see. Eman Perry is here. How are you doing? Tedden is here. How are you doing? Also, hi to everyone that is watching the replay, because I've seen most of them, or most of you guys are actually watching the replay. Also, hi to Shaki. Really cool to have you all here. Now, what's going on? I saw this tweet today, and I had to show this to you guys, because we are at what, $88,000 US. So you get, for just $1 US, you get like 1,100 satoshis, which is freaking amazing. And so we are at $88,000 US, and we are up 360% the past 5 years. And now this happened. This has been the worst Bitcoin bull market ever. Sentiment is in the pisser. This app is dead. I mean, he means X with that. Retail never showed up, 100%. And I will show you on data why retail never showed up. Whales are dumping on our faces. I disagree with that. Depending on how you define whales, but I think on almost all of them, I would actually disagree with that whales are dumping in our faces. Wall Street manipulation, trading algos, they're effing with us. I also disagree with that very strongly. I don't think there is Wall Street manipulation going on. Yes, there are now institutions in the game, and those institutions will buy, sell, and trade around, and this will definitely have an impact on the Bitcoin price, but it's not like they are manipulating the price to shake us out or something like that. And even if they do, like, you just hodl and you're out of this game to be shaken out. So I don't know. This is something else. Then we have, of course, OG Bitcoiners that have been in Bitcoin since a very long time. Nick Carter is one of them. Yes, he is now in the shit coins, but he is one of the OG Bitcoin hodlers. One of that I looked up to when I started looking into Bitcoin, when I actually started researching about Bitcoin. And honestly, he's now putting out FUD about quantum computing. First of all, my question is like, why now? This has been a thing since longer than not just like right now. It is not just like, oh, now all of a sudden we're thinking about that. And then his arguments are really not that good. It's like the time horizons, the time lines are shitty. Like, he makes like almost like he wants to spread fear, and he wants to like dump the Bitcoin prices. It's almost like he does it exactly for this reason. I'm not sure what his intentions are. I'm just like surprised by his bad research. Now, because I really respected this guy, especially in the beginning, but like now it's like a little bit different. Now we have also Luke Groman. I already made that. I already analyzed the video in another live stream, I think 2 or 3 days ago, where I showed you guys that he is really bearish, that he sold, I think he sold half of his stack, or like a substantial amount of his stack. He's also a guy that I really respect, to really look up to in many regards when it comes to Bitcoin, and he's also selling. So like the sentiment is just massively down. The sentiment is really almost like struggling in a sense. Now is the real question: what is the data actually showing us? What is actually going on in Bitcoin? What is actually kind of happening in the ecosystem? And we have many different data points, metrics that we can look at. There's probably like thousands out there that we can or could look at. I've found 2 interesting ones for us today. The first one is, for me, always, this is the most important metric in Bitcoin. For me, the most important metric in Bitcoin is the Bitcoin hash rate. If the Bitcoin hash rate is all of a sudden completely crashing and Bitcoin miners are completely just turning away from the network, and there's not a huge reason for that, for example, the mining ban in 2017, if that's not the case, there's no specific reason for that, and people just like getting rid of Bitcoin miners, that would be a concern. Then we really have to dig deep into like what is actually going on. But now we can see the hash rate, and we can look at it right now. We have the Bitcoin hash rate here. It's crazy because like the Bitcoin hash rate almost seems flat. It almost seems like it started in 2018. But yes, the Bitcoin hash rate obviously started before 2018. Here, the first kind of Bitcoin mining trend started to be a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger. As I said, 2017, a big one. And then we had in 2021. And this is a really actually interesting one. In 2021, China said, hey, we no longer want Bitcoin mining in our country. By the way, they really tried to get all the Bitcoin mining out in the country, and there's still a lot of Bitcoin mining going on. Around 5 to 10% of the Bitcoin mining is still to this day going on in China. And in 2021, as we see on this chart, China actually really wanted to get it out of there. And so they jumped from, what was it, 170 million to what was here down, like under 100 million. So like this was like, what is it, 50% drawback or something like that in hash rate. And this was a substantial drawback, not 50%, this, what is it, 30-40% drawback, but it's a substantial drawback in hash rate. But it just took them from, it was May 17, 2021, and then November 17, it was at the same rate again. Not even a year. China, the biggest economy, they had apparently 70% of the hash rate, really got a hit on Bitcoin mining. They got all the cards on, they hit it on Bitcoin mining, and all of a sudden, they got the hash rate down substantially, 30-40%, whatever the whole thing is. And just under a year, just a few months later, it's at the same price and at the same hash rate. And now we are just like massively up. So the hash rate, that's my point. The hash rate is great. Bitcoin miner, keep mining. I mine Bitcoin, as I said, with simple mining. I have like 5 machines running or so. This is really great. Check it out, simplemining.io, in case you want it. But mining is doing really good. Miners are not fleeing. Miners are really strong and healthy. Now, there's another thing that we can look at, which is, it was always a little bit complicated for me. And I want to really quickly explain what the MVRV score is. This is basically looking at the market price of Bitcoin and the global cost basis of Bitcoin. That's the easiest way I can explain it. So they look at what coins moved in the last like forever history of Bitcoin and what price did they move at. So they're kind of trying to figure out what is the cost basis of each and every one of us, and comparing it to the current market price of Bitcoin. And so now we can see with that score, are people actually in a profit in Bitcoin, or people are actually pleading over all of Bitcoin's history? So like starting from 2009, I guess maybe 2010. And so if that C-score of that the ratio is at 0, this means the global cost basis is exactly at the current market price. And currently the C-score is around 1, actually 0.1. It was a little bit different before when I looked. It's currently exactly 1. And so if you're looking at that, it has been a little bit bullish. So like people are somewhat in profits in Bitcoin. If we are under 1, it means that only a few are in profits, only a little bit are we in profits. From 1 to 3, we are kind of fair value territory, and then above 7, above 10, we are really in the very, very hyper euphoric moment of Bitcoin. And we can see that in the chart. We have seen it 2013 when we rushed up. I will just put everything out there. When we in 2013, when we rushed up there to a C-score of 10, 9 in 2013 and 2014. We rushed up in 2017. The 4-year cycle played out. Here in 2017, the C-score of like 8, 9. We reached up to a C-score of, what was it, 7, over 7 in 2021. And now 2025, we barely got to 3. We actually never got to 3. Like the highest was 2.7. So this is one more indicator showing that actually we are not in any way, shape, or form in euphoria. The Bitcoin price actually never went really high, and now we've won. We're not oversold. Like I saw that news today. I saw that tweet out today, and they're saying like, "Oh, we are completely oversold. We are so deep. We are so low right now." This is also not the case. If you look at the market in 2022, we are under a 0. So we are like minus 0.36. This means the global cost basis is under the current market price. So most people are actually in most people are actually having a loss. This is crazy. So like if we are under 0, this means we are completely oversold. And this usually, if you're getting to the 0, this usually marks a really a bottom in the Bitcoin bear market. Now we don't see that. We see more of a, hey, we are not shooting up. We are not going to this extremes highs that we went in previous cycles. So again, I just wanted to show you the data. We are not bleeding out. It's a quite normal bull market. Actually, it's a fair value kind of bull market. And we are also not completely in euphoria. We are somewhere in the middle. We are in the very boring stages, and the hash rate is really positive. So all the drama that you might see on Twitter, might see in different thumbnails on YouTube, it's just not it's just not showing us. And it's mostly driven by like, oh gosh, like what's gonna happen? Oh gosh, what's gonna happen? I try to not participate in that at all. We're just in a nice kind of spot in the Bitcoin market. And I saw that comment before. I wanted to highlight that because I think it fits very nicely. I almost stacked an entire coin last year by cleaning out my garage in a home of junk I spent too much on. Very much congrats to you. And then he said, I'm pretty psyched about 2025 and all the dips myself. And this is exactly how you should think about it. If you think about the Bitcoin bear markets or the Bitcoin dips that we have as an opportunity to stack more Satoshis, then you have no longer that fear when the Bitcoin price actually dips. First of all, we are not low. With the C-score, you kind of see that. We are not super, super low. We're not high, but we are kind of in the middle ground between 1 and 3. We are like on the lower end of normal. And so if you take advantage of those dips, you get actually a bigger stack. So the only question you have to ask yourself, Do you have enough conviction in Bitcoin? Do you understand Bitcoin enough? And that's why I wrote in the title, 2025 is for me proof again that people haven't really grasped what Bitcoin is, what Bitcoin actually stands for, and why we need it. Because if you do understand those things, you would understand that you have to stack as much as possible, and you would be happy that Bitcoin tanks. You would be happy that Bitcoin actually goes down. Now, I made that theory yesterday, and I will show you again some interesting things around that, why I personally think, and some other people also think, like Tom Lee also mentioned that we are in a major bull market in 2026. This could be, of course, not right, but I personally think this could be the case. Now, why I'm bullish and why this happens has a lot to do with liquidity, and the fact that we are actually seeing a lot of debt that has to be serviced, and a changing in the Fed chair that has to bring more money into the system to just keep up with interest rates, to just keep up with the military spending and all of this, which the government has to pay. This will be insane how much liquidity there will be coming into the system just in 2025. And I found this interesting tweet, this interesting video of Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is not a guy that is really big on Bitcoin. He actually, I think, hates Bitcoin. I think he's very much against Bitcoin. But what he explains is so on point about the current financial system. And I think if someone understands the system in and out, it's a guy like Warren Buffett. It's a guy that has been entrenched in this fiat system and benefited massively from this fiat system all his life. How old is Warren Buffett right now? Warren Buffett age. He's 95 years old. Look at this, guys. He's 95 years old. And I think he bought his first stocks around 12 or 15. So let's just say 15. This means he's buying stocks since 80 years. This guy lived through the last 80 years of the fiat system, actively participating, and like 95 years in total. Like he might make it to 100 years of observing what's going on in the world. He really knows what's going on with the fiat system. Now, I wouldn't trust him on the advice he gives in Bitcoin, but he is a huge guy when it comes to the fiat system. Now let's listen what he actually has to say here.
And that's the big thing we worry about with the United States currency. I mean, the tendency of a government to want to debase its currency over time there's no system that beats that. You can pick dictators, you can pick representatives, you can do anything. But the people, there will be a push toward weaker currencies. And of course, that is, I mentioned very briefly in the annual report that the fiscal policy is what scares me in the United States, because it's made the way it is.
And this is really interesting. This is something I feel like we should pay attention to, because he has been in the 50 years of the United States not being on the gold standard. I mean, it hasn't been on the gold standard before already, but that's a whole nother thing. But since 1971, which is now not 50 years, it's already 55 years soon, 54 years now. He has been an active participant in that network of the fiat currency systems. And now him saying he really is scared about that thing is something to definitely worry about. Now, at the same time, he is one of the cash heaviest business ever. Well, I think he is the cash heaviest business ever. I think he has the biggest cash balance of all companies. I think Strategy is actually number 5. I think Strategy will actually overtake Warren Buffett with Berkshire Hathaway quite soon, probably like in the next 5 to 7 years, maybe even earlier than that, because he does with his cash investing in stocks, but he has so much cash around, his cash is melting away every single day. And that's probably also what he sees, that his cash is just melting away and not really doing anything. And this is quite concerning for everyone that does not have Bitcoin, and that's why he is concerned.
And all the motivations are to doing a lot of things that can cause trouble with money. But that's not limited to the United States. It's all over the world, and some places it gets out of control.
Yeah, it's actually it's all over the world, even worse than just in the United States. I personally would think so. So, like, because the United States has a great military complex, and they have the world reserve currency, and we all know about the milkshake theory. I don't want to dive deep into this side topic now, but you could make an argument in every single other country. It's even worse than in the United States.
Regularly, as I know, they devalue at rates that are breathtaking, and that's continued. I mean, and people can study economics and you can have all kinds of arrangements, but in the end, if you've got people that control the currency, you can issue paper money, and you will, or you can.
By the way, it's a little bit of a detour, but I just wanted to mention, I wish, and I'm really working very hard for that I'm as sharp of a thinker and as good as a speaker with 95 years old as Warren Buffett is right now. This is super motivational. A guy that reached so much in his life, like, we also have to be clear, he's a beneficiary of the fiat system. He's big into banks. He really is in there. You can even make an argument that at some point he's evil, because he's using that system out. But I personally think that we can learn from those people and not like pasticize them. But this is something very motivational for me. I'm now, 27 years old? And thinking ahead, what are these, like 70, gosh, thinking ahead 70 years into the future of how old Warren Buffett currently is, or like 68 years old ahead in the future, and thinking that I'm still that sharp as he is right now and speaking so good in front of live camera, that shit is really inspiring, to be very frank.
Engage in clipping currencies like they used to do centuries ago, then there will always be people. It's the nature of their job. I'm not singling them out as particularly evil or anything like that, but the natural course of government is to make the currency worth less over time, and that's got important consequences. And it's very hard to build checks and balances into the system that keep that from happening.
It's impossible. This is something I might see different than him. He says it's very hard to make check and balances for a fiat system where someone has the power to dilute the monetary supply. I think it's impossible. At some point, someone will come and abuse the system. There will be some pandemic, there will be some catastrophic event, there will be some downturn in the economy. There will be something where people say, hey, we have that money printer. Why don't we print a bunch of money and give it to this group of people, or this group of people, or this group of people, or this group of people? At some point it will happen. It's very natural. And we saw yesterday in the live stream, when the government debt is rising, so is the liquidity of the Fed is rising. So basically, whenever the government is financing something, they either have to pay it from your tax money or from magic central bank money. And so they have to dilute you either directly with taxes or indirectly with the tax on your savings, your US dollars, your euros, your fiat currencies. Now, of course, if you don't use fiat currencies, like I don't do it, you are not diluted, especially if you don't use it as a savings technology, as medium of exchange. It's a different story. And so I don't think this is at any point in time repairable or fixable, or we can make something that like it's not good. The only way for that to happen is Bitcoin. Now, as I already said before, if you're curious, because I said it now multiple times already, why I think 2026 will be actually a major great year for Bitcoin, I went into more detail yesterday in like the 57 minutes here, the liquidity shock 2026. You don't get more time. Basically, if you really want to make sure you're in this next Bitcoin bull market and really benefit from it, I think now is kind of the time. Obviously, timing is always, you can never really say for sure, but there's a lot of breadcrumbs all around us that if we lay all the breadcrumbs together, it looks pretty bullish for 2026, I have to say. Now, there is something I found that really also makes me bullish. There is something I found randomly on my feed that from Bitcoin Archive, from Arki, that I found really interesting. So he posted, BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF took in more money than GLD this year, even with BTC down year to date. So yes, Bitcoin is down year to date. We can look at BTC USD quickly. Look at the year to date. We are down 5.65%. So Bitcoin is down year to date. It hasn't been a good asset performing this year. It has been underperforming most other assets. And still, it has been the sixth largest ETF in the US when it comes to inflows. This is massive. This is so massive. And if you look at the last line here, year-to-date return, this is the only one in the top 25 ETFs that has a negative year-to-date. Every other Bitcoin ETF, every other ETF here in this picture, the top 25 here in the US, is positive. And most of them are positive massively. They are 16% up. They are 28% up. They are 33, 18, 12, 8, 11, 64. What the heck is that? 64% IAU, I don't know, but 64% up, 18% up. They are massively up this year. And the only one that is down year to date is the IBIT, the Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock. And this is the same ETF that is number 6 in the year-to-date flow. This is massive. This show, and then another question that I kind of have is, how will this look in 2026 if, as I said, the Bitcoin bull market comes with all the liquidity, all the things happening in 2026? I personally think it is not a stretch to say that IBIT has a chance of being under the top 3, maybe even the top 1. Bitcoin, the top under the top 3 ETFs in 2026. It's massive. So I'm not buying the ETFs, by the way. And do not buy the ETFs. Otherwise, only if you're really forced to and you have like locked money somewhere, something like that. But I do not recommend buying ETFs. It's way better to actually self-custody them. Now there's something else going on. Actually, Busy Mikey mentioned it yesterday that there is something huge going on with real estate people and Bitcoin people. So real estate and Bitcoin kind of coming together and forming almost an alliance. The real estate people say, why didn't I buy Bitcoin? There's a really funny tweet. In the end of the show, I try to find it. I forgot to put it in my list. Damn it! But I will show this to you guys. But there is more and more real estate people that are actually now turning massively bullish on Bitcoin and seeing the power of Bitcoin, because they no longer have to do they no longer have to do all the things that come with real estate, changing the toilets, changing the roof, doing the laundry, doing the lawn mowing. Gosh, like I'm so bad with that. But it's massively interesting how those real estate people are now more and more actually coming to Bitcoin. Now this here I found just recently from Ryan. I will show you guys. From Robin Seyr has sold over $1 billion of real estate. He is a huge figure on the real estate influencer kind of scene. And him saying that in a podcast is massive. Like, let's see what he has to say. It's just a few seconds long.
And then I had a friend who is a big crypto trader who I always thought was crazy. And he convinced me to go heavy into Bitcoin when it was at 3,000, and then again when it was at 16,000. And those will probably forever be my greatest investments of all time. And those will just be held on a cold wallet, and I'll bury them in a treasure chest, and Morgan Freeman will find them.
What? he's freaking entertaining also. But this is really interesting because Grant Cardone and all the like Ryan Seyr and many other real estate people are now just waking up to the idea like, oh wait, so Bitcoin is scarcer than real estate, and I do not have to pay every single year the property taxes, and I do not have to care about managing a team that manages the houses, and don't have to care about tenants and like they're moving out and stuff. Why don't I just be in Bitcoin? Why don't I take my money from real estate and put into Bitcoin? Now, there's one major advantage that you have with real estate. If you build out a huge portfolio of properties, you get a really low credit from the banks to actually service the credit that is needed to build the homes. And so if you can take advantage of almost no down payment, or like a very low down payment of like 3 to 5%, and then also very low interest rates or mortgage rates, you can basically leverage that real estate property in a major way. And so like if you put down in a real estate property, let's say 100 grand, and the real estate property is worth, let's say 2 million or 5 million, and this real estate property goes up just 2 or 3%, you're making 2-3% on the whole real estate property, but you only put so much in there. That's the thing that Bitcoin does not have to a certain degree. Obviously, you can borrow against the Bitcoin, you can do leverage. I personally think, and I personally recommend to each and every one of you guys, just do not do leverage. The few people that really know about leverage and what it is and like how to use it, they will do it anyways. They will not listen to me. But I hope I can avoid some people going into leverage and burning themselves, because I really think most people that do leverage get burned. There's just a few people that actually use it smart in a good way and actually make money with that. And the problem is now that each and every one of you is like, oh, I'm one of the smart ones and I will use leverage. I do not think that I'm one of the smart ones. And so I do not use leverage myself, not at all. And I recommend to each and every one of you, do not use leverage. I rather spend my energy actually going heavier into Bitcoin, actually going heavier into building something for myself and building something for the future, and upping my income game and not upping my leverage game, if that makes sense. So this is something really important, and I just want to put that out there as a small side tour. Now, I just want to bring that picture in, because I saw it so much on my feed, and it's huge. Michael Saylor, guest the bank, Morgan Stanley, with Fong Li, with this the chairman of strategy, Michael Saylor, and the CEO of strategy, Fong Li, and they are standing in front of Morgan Stanley saying, "Guess the bank." Now, Saylor just bought nearly $2 billion of Bitcoin in the last 2 weeks. This tweet has been old, 2 days old. So it's 3 days old already. Right after meetings with the Gulf nations, a visit to JP Morgan's headquarters, and Morgan Stanley. This is not a coincidence. Something massive is brewing. I personally think that the things that I showed you yesterday, and just the inside information, not into Bitcoin, but in the ecosystem and liquidity and the banks that strategy has, they are preparing. I personally think, I have no inside information on that either, on a massive bull market also for 2026. And they're kind of trying to capture that as good as possible. And of course, even if that's not the case, they have the mission to stack as many Bitcoin as possible. I just wanted to bring that in because I found it interesting. I truly believe, and I try to not speculate, but I truly believe Saylor knows something that we don't. And 2026, I will clip that for the 2026 December stream, and I will see if there actually was something brewing, or if it was just we met with one of the biggest banks and we actually never did anything with that, which I don't think is very likely. Now, this is the fourth thing I want to show you guys. This is so important. I want to show you guys that Bitcoin isn't a trade, a cycle, a tech product, or anything like that. All the noise that is current in the market is kind of not paying attention to the most important thing of Bitcoin. That Bitcoin is a major revolution, and that the Bitcoin market cap is tiny compared to the massive opportunity that lays in front of us. And now when you see that, I think most of you guys have seen that. If you see that, what's actually been happening, the global asset landscape 2025, this is how huge everything else is compared to Bitcoin. And I think over a long enough period of time, this will more look like, where do I have it? This will more look like, I showed this in a small presentation. This will more look like this. There will be all other assets, and then there will be Bitcoin. And Bitcoin will be by far the biggest asset on planet Earth. Now, this is not 2026. This is not 2035 or 2045. This will take a very long time. I might not even see it. But over a long period of time, money will be the biggest thing on planet Earth. And so this is the only... Like Bitcoin will be global money, the best store of value. And so it will be only natural that most financial energy is stored in there, and only a little bit is stored in all other assets. What exactly the percentages, if it's 50% or 99% or 80% or 70%, I've talked about that so endlessly on my podcast. I asked this question, do the biggest thinkers in Bitcoin, I asked it Max Kaiser, I asked it Jesse Myers, I asked it, I think I even asked it Michael Saylor, if I'm not mistaken. I asked it the biggest thinkers in Bitcoin, and they all disagree with each other on how big it actually will be. Nobody has obviously a crystal ball, but I just think, and that's why I put this picture so provoking there. It's it's Bitcoin, and then very small everything else. Is it very small, 5% or 50%? I don't know. I don't think it's bigger than 50% over a long enough period of time. Now, what I really wanted to show you guys is that Bitcoin, for me, where is it? Is a foundational invention. And if you come back to what actually matters in Bitcoin is the foundations. Because if you panic out because Bitcoin is kind of creeping down, or the Nick Carter is saying quantum computing, and Luke Groman says, hey, you should sell your Bitcoin because XYZ, even though XYZ is BS, you have to come back to the foundations. You have to come back to what actually matters long term. Why is Bitcoin mattering in 5 years, in 10 years, in 50 years, and in 100 years? And for me, this is very clear. Bitcoin is a foundational invention, just as fire, a pen, not pen, a writing, or electricity, the internet, AI and robotics, almost like the printing press. I really love comparing Bitcoin to the printing press. On a foundational basis, it changed something that was never the same again in the history. Massively important that we always come back to what's actually happening long term. Now, I want to show you guys one more thing. I cannot stress this enough. There are 3 main pillars of Bitcoin. And I kind of tried in this presentation to distill what I've learned over 700 episodes where I interviewed Larry Lepar, Michael Saylor, Jeff Booth, Natalie Brunell, all the biggest people in Bitcoin, and 700 other people. It's like I've interviewed from random teachers and carpenters and people that make their own small businesses and people that have huge businesses, people, the billionaires, and like all the different offers, and people even that were maybe gold bugs but slowly got into Bitcoin. All of them combined, what I've learned is the 3 things that you actually get with Bitcoin. And I'll quickly run over them. We have the first one, wealth. Yes, you get rich. Yeah. If you see the Bitcoin history, this is the history rhymes with the future, and you will get wealthy over time if you do the right things in Bitcoin. These say, kind of be patient in Bitcoin. You will get more and more wealthier and richer, just number grab technology in Bitcoin. Then we have the freedom aspect of like, you will be free. And this is something that most people do not take advantage of. Most people in Bitcoin, like everyone in Bitcoin, takes advantage of the wealth aspect, that you will get wealthier. But only a few people actually say, hey, I also want to get free. I want to get free of the shackles of the exchanges, of the banks, of the third parties. Only a few people say, hey, I want to be completely free. And so that's why I want Bitcoin in self-custody. That's why I want Bitcoin for myself. I want to run my own node. I want to run my own miner, and I want to have this is the triangle of Bitcoin sovereignty: running your own miner, running your own node, and having self-custody. The triangle of sovereignty, I call it. I think I have to make a presentation on that. I just randomly speak about that. But the triangle of sovereignty is, if you earn your Bitcoin directly in your KYC-free stack, you then have it connected with your own full node that you operate, and only you have the keys to it. You can do whatever you want. You're completely free. You can pay everyone. Nobody can take your money. Nobody can take away your money. And this is truly self-sovereign. Now, the third point that I was making here was the culture. It will change you. And this is true only for the people that really get into Bitcoin. This is true only for people that watching a lot of live streams, podcasts, that are going to meetups, that are going to conferences, that are building in a space, maybe even working into Bitcoin, and maybe even building companies or products or services into Bitcoin. Those are the people that actually will benefit from the culture aspect, because you get this proof of work fire, you get that energy, that vibe from Bitcoin, and it shaped me so much. If you listen to the first podcast that I did over 2 years ago, and you listen to now the live stream and the podcast, I'm a different man already. completely, I have changed so many of my opinions and so much of my mindset sharpened and got different because of all the Bitcoiners that surrounded me, all the sharp thinkers that surrounded me. It's a whole different ball game. So this is what I really wanted to share with you guys. Now I want to look, take a quick break and look in the comment section what's actually been happening here. As I will always do it now, I will give you guys in the 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, or an hour, an input that I think is very important today for Bitcoin, and then we kind of chat in the comments and see what's actually going to happen. Now, hey Gus, how you doing? Great that you made it, man. I saw that you put an alarm every day. I love it. You put it for people that don't know. Gus said put an alarm for my live stream every day at like 10:45 a.m. Eastern time to make it to my show. Like it's crazy. That's freaking cool. I wonder when the hash will double. I think people will be surprised at how fast it will happen. Yes, I truly think so. Like people are not prepared to how fast the hash rate is growing and what that actually means for the network, for the security, and for how healthy Bitcoin actually is. 100%. Participant structure of this cycle, 2025. 35% crybabies. I love that. Participant structure of this cycle, 25% bulls, 40% bears, and 35% crybabies. This is very, very true. Robin doing the live stream on weekend also. He never stops. Yes, actually, Sandy, I'm actually doing the live stream also on weekend. I will try to do the live stream every single day. Now, next year, I start the podcast again with once a week, a high signal, long form podcast guest. I'm just not sure if I will be making then 5, if I'm making 6 or 7 live streams. That's the only like question I kind of have. 90% crybabies, probably more accurate. So using 0.2% silver and gold demonstrate that Bitcoin is only valuable if it's backed by physical metal and not cryptography. Bitcoin is not backed by physical metal at all. Like, I don't know what you mean by that, because obviously Bitcoin has proven that it's extremely valuable in the past 16 years. It has grown from nothing to a over $2 trillion market cap asset, which is just a tenth of what gold is, the biggest asset. It is bigger than 99.99% of all companies already. And so it has proven that it does not need gold, silver, or any other fancy metals to be in any way, shape, or form valuable. So I have no clue what you mean by that. Eman Perry, he's worried now because his companies are going down. Who? What did I talk about at that point? Oh, maybe you meant Nick Carter. I'm not sure which one you meant. The hardest thing about being 100% in Bitcoin is finding places that will accept it for payments. I'd rather spend it than sell it, to be honest. Very true. This is actually something that's also hard for me. How I handle it, I spend Bitcoin whenever I can. Whenever I can spend it. For example, we have in Vienna a local guy in a restaurant that actually accepts Bitcoin. I have a haircutter, not in Austria, but in Germany, that sometimes comes to the conferences that charges in Bitcoin. There's more and more places. There's around 25,000 merchants all around the world that already accept Bitcoin. That's not nothing. That's quite substantial already. But 25,000 merchants is nothing compared like how many merchants there actually out there. So you can use, for example, something like having Bitcoin in a Lightning wallet, where once you tap it and you spend with your Visa or MasterCard the Bitcoin, you in that moment sell it and then get rid of it. It's not optimal, but it's the closest thing we can live on a Bitcoin standard. You can also make the strategy of once a month just selling your Bitcoin to cover a credit card or something like that. All those strategies are very much good. I mean, you can even like borrow against the Bitcoin, but again, I try to not use leverage. He lost 30 billion purchasing power as he prepared for a stock market. Oh, you meant Warren Buffett. Now I know it. You meant Warren Buffett. Yes, he's worried now because his companies are going down. Yes, very true. Warren Buffett, he lost 30 billion US dollars purchasing power as he prepared for a stock market reset. Yes, actually, yeah. He loses a lot of purchasing power every single day because he thinks the big crash in stock markets are coming. But now Trump is in power, and he will just print money and make the interest rates go down even further and make huge liquidity enter the market. And the stock market and Bitcoin and everything will be just rallying up like massively. Hi also to Sukal, miners are pivoting to AI. I'm not sure about that. Yes, of course, they use also AI, but also AI companies are now like mining Bitcoin. Like I showed you the data, and here you just don't see that people are actually pivoting. You only see that actually people are mining Bitcoin. Yes, maybe it's down like a little bit from the all-time high. Now it's 1.1 zettahash, and at the high it was 1.12 zettahashes. It's not a lot, so it's not a concern at all from my side. At all, actually. So thank you guys so much for joining in from the chat or from the replay. Also, thank you so much for everyone that is just like watching and listening in the background and seeing this live episode. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Bye-bye. This content is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial advice.